Watching Alabama Broadcasters Station of the Year. Coverage you can count on. WAAY 31 Midday News starts now.
Another round of mass shootings terrorizing America's streets. One happening just 2 hours away in Chattanooga, Tennessee. We go over the latest negotiations on Capitol Hill as lawmakers try to come to an agreement on gun reform.
Plus, all new at midday, this man now in jail after officials say he assaulted a Huntsville police officer. How that officer's doing this morning and the charges the suspect is now facing.
And temperatures already in the mid-80s across North Alabama. We're heading for the 90s today. We'll have the latest on those rain chances coming up.
Thank you so much for joining us on WAAY 31 Midday News. I'm Alex Torres-Perez.
And I'm Luke Hydash. We start with more mass shootings over the weekend. The Gun Violence Archive reported at least a dozen mass shootings happening over the weekend, one just over the state line here in Chattanooga, Tennessee. 14 people shot, 3 of them killed after police say several shooters opened fire at a nightclub. No suspects in custody at this time. This is the second mass shooting in Chattanooga just in the last week, and the mayor is now calling on Congress to take action to address gun violence in the country.
I'm tired of standing in front of you talking about guns and bodies. Chattanooga will not tolerate this in our community. Our city will put a stop to this.
The Gun Violence Archive says the U.S. is on track to have one of its deadliest years yet on record.
And right now, Congress is working to come together on a gun reform bill. A group of bipartisan lawmakers are negotiating. They ruled out a ban on assault-style weapons, but there are other leading legislative proposals like incentives for red flag laws, expanded background checks, and funding for mental health and school security. Democratic Senator Chris Murphy says he believes they're closer than ever at reaching a deal.
Never been part of negotiations as serious as these. There are more Republicans at the table talking about changing our gun laws and investing in mental health than at any time since Sandy Hook.
Now, some of the mass shooting victims' families and survivors are expected to testify in a congressional hearing on gun violence this week. Well, it is a beautiful start to your work week. You're taking a live look over Huntsville from our WAAY 31 Sky Camera Network.
Yeah, don't be fooled, though. You're going to want to keep that umbrella handy. WAAY 31 meteorologist Carson Meredith is here now with what we can expect this afternoon.
Yeah, you're tracking some rain and chances?
Yeah, plenty of them, guys, over the next 5 days. For today in particular, we'll call it the driest day in the week ahead. And even so, those rain chances are there. Big headline here at 11 o'clock, though. Those temperatures already in the mid-80s. Here in Huntsville, it's 83 degrees, 78 right now in Athens, 84 out in Muscle Shoals this morning, 82 in Scottsboro, and it's 79 in both Fort Payne and Guntersville this morning. On the WAAY 31 Storm Tracker Early Warning Radar Network, nearly all of us are dry, but look at the far left corner of your screen. Our Muscle Shoals radar picking up on some of those light sprinkles in northeastern Mississippi. I don't expect those to arrive in northwest Alabama, but later on this afternoon with that peak daytime heating, we'll have the chance for a few pop-up storms. Even so, it's just a 20% chance for your lunch hour. Our actual air temperatures today, they're heading for the lower 90s. But when you factor in that humidity, yeah, it'll feel more like 95 degrees by around 4 o'clock this afternoon. So make sure you stay hydrated and take plenty of breaks in the shade today, too. No problems on the threat tracker for your Monday, but look at Tuesday and Wednesday. Those storm chances are increasing, and they stay with us all week long. We're tracking just how much rain in a few minutes.
Thank you, Carson. Meantime, a deadly house fire is now being investigated as a murder-suicide. Huntsville police found Martella Tyler and Justin Tyler dead inside the burning home on York Road Sunday morning. Investigators believe Justin killed Martella after a domestic dispute.
All new at midday, a Huntsville police officer is now out of the hospital this morning after he was assaulted over the weekend. Huntsville police say their officers saw Michael Freeman trespassing at a business off Governor's Drive on Sunday morning. When they tried to arrest that man, he attacked them. An officer did receive minor injuries. He's expected to be okay. Freeman is now facing an aggravated assault against police charge.
New at midday, a man was taken to the hospital after being shot several times last night in Athens. Police say they found the victim on the road at the intersection of Stanford Street and Somerset Drive. He was taken to Huntsville Hospital and is expected to survive. If you have any information on the shooting, call Athens Police. And today we are expected to learn on another deadly shooting in Athens. Police say Kerry Crutcher was shot and killed at Higgins Court Apartments Saturday. The shooter hasn't been identified, but police say they are cooperating with the investigation.
Pain at the pump is not going anywhere anytime soon. Oil prices are still going up despite plans to ramp up production. AAA says the national average went up by a quarter in the last week, sitting now at $4.87. Here in Huntsville, gas prices rising here up 27 cents just in the last week. The average price now well above $4.50. That is 59 cents higher compared to 1 month ago this time. People in the area say, yeah, they're definitely feeling the impact.
It's been very hard because, you have to tackle all your bills. You got to have your rent, your car note, your car insurance, and then now gas has went up, so it kind of put a dent in the budget.
Oil analysts say in the next 10 days, the national average will hit $5 a gallon.
Man, we are all feeling that impact.
Yeah.
Well, White House officials say they are focused on helping Americans as they pay more for gas and other items like groceries. The latest Gallup poll says 8% of Americans see the U.S. economy either as fair or poor shape. That's why White House officials consider fighting inflation as the top economic priority.
There are a number of things that the president has proposed that we do that Congress could do. Lowering the cost of insulin, lowering the cost of childcare, lowering the cost of housing, things that would make a difference.
This week, the president will attend the 9th Summit of the Americas in Los Angeles. Government officials from around the world are set to discuss a number of issues, including economic prosperity.
Happening today, the state and federal leaders will be right here in North Alabama to talk about improving broadband internet, that is, in rural areas. Congressman Robert Adderholt is hosting a forum at Wallace State today. Companies will hear from the Undersecretary of the USDA for Rural Development. They'll discuss internet speed and the USDA's Reconnect program, which has brought thousands of North Alabamians to high-speed internet for the very first time.
And parents searching for baby formula will likely be stuck for at least a few more weeks. Production resumed over the weekend at the Abbott's plant making Similac. That's been closed since February. The first runs will be focused on specialty formulas. Store shelves should be stocked, with it by June 20th. In the meantime, other nations have been shipping formula to the U.S. to help with the shortage. And children under 5 could soon receive their first COVID-19 vaccine as early as June 21st. Right now, that is the only age group that is not approved for the vaccine.
WAAY 31's Xavier Wary spoke to a parent about why they're a little hesitant to get that first shot for their child.
I won't say that I don't believe in it. I just feel like everything is rushed and you have to allow time for it to display whether it's the best option or not.
One parent who wishes to remain anonymous shares her thoughts on whether she believes getting the vaccine for her 1-year-old daughter is the right move.
It's unethical to experiment on children, and it's really no telling how effective the vaccine will be. So I just think it's best to wait until their immune systems are a little more built up and they can fully view how effective the vaccine is.
Health experts say the vaccine can put an end to the pandemic. Some parents, like the one I spoke with, believe in the vaccine but say things have been rushed as we enter the heart of the summer months with COVID-positive cases on the rise yet again.
I'm not feeling any apprehensions about it. I think as long as people take safety precautions that's best for their family, that they should be fine. But with anything, you have to be cautious in how you operate.
Xavier Wary, WAAY 31 News.
And on next Wednesday, the FDA's panel of advisors plan to review data on both the Moderna and Pfizer vaccines. After that meeting happens, the FDA can issue authorization. At that point, the CDC could give final approval. And happening today, students at Huntsville City Schools won't have to worry about lunch this summer.
The district started its summer feeding program this morning. Students not enrolled in summer programs can get free breakfast and lunch Monday through Thursday. Meals are served starting at 10:30 at the Dr. Richard Showers Recreation Center splash pads. Then at 12:45 at the Brahan Springs Park splash pads. The school district says the meals benefit so many kids during the summer break.
We've served thousands and thousands of meals each summer. It gives us a good opportunity to impact our community and help out our families that may have issues.
Now, students in summer programs will have lunch at their school.
And the Florence City School District will start its summer feeding program tomorrow. The program will deliver packaged meals to students on the Falcon Feeder food truck. You see it there. Deliveries will be made Tuesdays and Thursdays from June 7th all the way through the 30th.
A new turn in the war in Ukraine, the new warning to the West from Russia's president and the advances Ukraine's military is making now.
And we're tracking a mix of sun and clouds on this Monday. 83 last check here in Huntsville, but there's a small chance for a few pop-ups later on. I'll walk you through future radar coming up.
Coverage you can count on. You're watching WAAY 31 News with the WAAY 31 Storm Tracker Early Warning Radar Network.
New information now at midday. Russian President Vladimir Putin warning the U.S. and other Western nations against sending any more weapon systems to support Ukraine.
And that warning comes as Ukraine's defense minister is advising allies that his country will need more artillery and munitions from the West to win the war. ABC's Justin Finch is in Washington with the latest.
Russian President Vladimir Putin with a warning for America and Western allies planning to supply Ukraine with any long-range rocket systems. Putin threatening strikes on areas that Russia has, quote, not struck yet if Western countries provide Ukraine with longer-range missiles. Last week, the U.S. committed to sending Ukraine advanced HIMARS missile systems and rockets that can fly 40 miles, which Putin dismissed as not having any impact on the battlefield. The U.S. has not sent its more powerful missiles capable of reaching 4 times that distance. Ukraine's defense minister saying despite the military support from the U.S. and Western nations, it's not enough.
We need more to make sufficient counterattack and kick them outside of our country to liberate all occupied territories.
In Ukraine's capital, Kyiv, calm after Russia attacked for the first time in more than a month. Russia targeting a train repair station it claims housed weapons, which Ukraine denies. Ukraine's President Zelensky vowing his country will continue to defend itself as the war has now surpassed 100 days. The British Defense Ministry says Ukraine's counterattacks are driving momentum. Russia's invasion of Ukraine also on the agenda at the United Nations. The Security Council will meet today to discuss human trafficking and sexual violence in the wake of the war. Justin Finch, ABC News, Washington.
A U.S. Army general says the United States and allied countries will keep providing significant support to Ukraine. He says that's out of respect for the legacy of D-Day soldiers.
Political upheaval in Great Britain still ahead, a key vote today that could trigger leadership changes.
Just turned 11:18 now. This week, the House committee investigating the 2021 January 6th Capitol riot will go public with its findings. The hearings are scheduled to start this Thursday and last all the way to the end of the month. The committee is expected to reveal new details about its 10-month investigation into the riot. The January 6th committee can't criminally charge anyone in actuality, but members are hoping to expose and highlight potential criminal behavior for law enforcement and the Justice Department to investigate. And Alabama Congressman Mo Brooks was subpoenaed by that committee last month. Brooks says if he does appear, it will be in a public setting where everyone can hear what he has to say. 4 other GOP leaders have been subpoenaed by that committee.
New at midday, the British Prime Minister could be outed in just a matter of hours. Boris Johnson will face a vote of confidence in Parliament this afternoon. This comes after Johnson became the first Prime Minister in British history to be sanctioned for breaking the law. An investigation found that he illegally attended a gathering during COVID-19 lockdowns in 2020. Now, Johnson must win a simple majority of all Conservative Party members in order to remain Prime Minister. Well, let's go ahead and check in with WAAY 31 meteorologist Carson Meredith. I mean, it's been a pretty beautiful day so far, but some rain in the forecast, right?
Yeah, I can't complain so far, but how long is it going to last, Carson?
Maybe not much longer, unfortunately, guys. Now, not everyone will see rain today. This is just a classic June summer-like day where we'll have that chance for a couple of pop-ups this afternoon. Otherwise, you'll likely just see what we're seeing right now on the WAAY 31 Skycam network, which is a mix of sun and clouds on this Monday morning. Temperatures already into the mid-80s. We woke up right around 70 degrees earlier this morning. And as you look at the WAAY 31 Storm Tracker Tracker early warning radar network right now. We have a couple of showers in northeastern Mississippi. That will likely not make it to North Alabama. You also see on the right-hand side of your screen, have a few downpours in northwestern Georgia, down near Rome, Georgia. That will not be a problem either. It's just going to be a couple of those pop-up showers of storms that haven't developed yet that will likely develop in random places during that peak heat of the day this afternoon. And if you stepped outside this morning, you know it's warm and a little bit muggy, of course, but it's also a bit breezy. Seeing those sustained winds right now at 10 miles per hour in Huntsville, 14 miles per hour in the Shoals, 12 miles per hour in Fayetteville, Tennessee. We'll see some gusts around 20 to 25 miles per hour through the rest of the day today. Here is your forecast for the rest of your Monday. 91, that is your forecast high. But when you factor in that humidity, it'll feel more like the mid-90s. Stay hydrated out there. And again, we'll keep that 20% chance for a few of those downpours through that peak heat of the day this afternoon and into the overnight hours tonight. Don't forget that sunscreen either. Now, if you're watching us on Friday, we were talking about that UV index being in the extreme category. Well, it's a step lower than that today. Still in the very high category, though, so you can get a sunburn in about 15 minutes later on today. This is the driest day of our work week, just 20%. But then by tomorrow and Wednesday, we have a frontal boundary that'll get close to North Alabama, but not completely move through. So that's going to set off several showers and storms really starting overnight tonight, going through the entire day Tuesday and into Wednesday as well, before we transition back to just those typical pop-up storms by Thursday afternoon. Here we go with future radar, 4 o'clock today. There you see some of those downpours developing. Not everybody sees rain today, but keep an eye on the skies if you're going to be out later on this evening. Then overnight by 1 a.m., that thunderstorm coverage becoming a bit more widespread as that frontal boundary gets closer. So we'll keep those off and on showers and storms in the forecast through your Tuesday morning drive. Could be a messy start to the day tomorrow, something to keep in mind. And we'll just keep those on again, off again showers and storms throughout the entirety of your Tuesday. And like we mentioned a moment ago, do it all over again for your Wednesday as well. All of this rain is going to add up. As far as flooding concerns, we're not expecting a whole lot of flooding, given that we'll have some dry time in between. Nonetheless, though, we're still likely going to see around 1 to 3 inches of rain just in the next 5 days. This takes you through Friday. You see those darker purples and red colors in our Tennessee tier stretching into northeast Alabama. That's where we might see over 3 inches of rain. That again, just through the next 5 days. So bottom line, keep those umbrellas handy. 7-day forecast shows those highs in the upper 80s to lower 90s. One more round of rain on Saturday, and then we'll finally start to dry things out by Sunday of this week. But again, guys, not a washout this week, but you'll definitely want to keep those umbrellas handy.
All right, Carson. It is take 2 for the Artemis rocket. The rollout today. What's ahead for getting the rocket ready to roar back into space? Welcome back. The SLS rocket is ready for another wet dress rehearsal ahead of the Artemis 1 mission.
And we are going to give you a live look. Here it is from NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida. The SLS was slowly rolled out overnight. That process usually takes around 8 hours. But it finally arrived at the launch pad here at around 7:20 this morning. A second attempt at a simulated launch countdown is expected to start on June 19th.
And the first wet dress rehearsal was scrubbed. That was an attempt after fueling issues caused some problems there. So the wet dress rehearsal is the final test before a real launch can actually be scheduled. That launch could happen as soon as next month. The Artemis 1 mission is the first step to getting American feet back on the moon.
Very exciting. Meanwhile, 6 space tourists went to lower orbit on the Blue Origin rocket this weekend. This launch took the first Mexican-born woman to the edge of space. She was chosen by a nonprofit from a pool of applicants to join the trip. And we can expect the first images of the Webb Space Telescope next month. NASA will release the first color images July 12th, so make sure you mark those calendars. What it will show, well, that's still a little bit of a mystery. NASA says it will target specific cosmic objects in deep space that will focus on either the early universe, evolution of galaxies over time, the life cycles of stars, and other worlds.
Look at that.
Very exciting.
Yeah, for sure. Well, people are on edge after several mass shootings break out over the weekend. A look at where this violence is happening and the demands for change.
Watching Alabama Broadcasters Station of the Year. Coverage you can count on. WAAY 31 Midday News starts now.
Multiple manhunts underway right now as the country reels from another spree of deadly mass shootings. The negotiations happening right now for gun reform.
Plus, COVID cases surging across the country, why health experts are concerned about new variants, and at-home tests.
Thanks so much for watching WAAY 31 Midday News. I am Luke Hydash.
And I am Alex Torres-Perez. Now we want to get started with the latest on the mass shooting spree here in the U.S., one happening just 2 hours away in Chattanooga, Tennessee.
ABC's Rena Roy goes over the latest in those investigations and the gun reform proposals senators are on Capitol Hill are discussing right now.
Across America, at least a dozen mass shootings this weekend alone, including in Philadelphia. This busy street, packed with bars and restaurants, turned to chaos Saturday night.
We got multiple victims. All of a sudden, I hear like, rat-a-tat-tat-tat-tat-tat.
This video, obtained exclusively by ABC News, shows the fight that broke out beforehand. Investigators say the two men fighting then began shooting. They believe one of them died. 2 bystanders were also killed and 11 others were injured.
And what happened is that you had some, sick maniac. Some people made it, some people didn't.
The 3 who died identified as 27-year-old Alexis Quinn, 34-year-old Gregory Jackson, and 22-year-old Chris Minners, a resident advisor at Girard College. In Chattanooga, Tennessee, Saturday night, 3 people killed and 14 shot after authorities say multiple gunmen opened fire at a nightclub. It's that city's second mass shooting in the past week. Parents and children around the country on edge.
My son is deathly afraid of school now.
A new ABC News Ipsos poll shows 72% of Americans say gun violence is an extremely or very important factor in their vote for Congress, and 70% believe new laws to reduce gun violence should be a priority. A small group of bipartisan senators is considering a range of options from expanded background checks to red flag laws, as well as funding for mental health and school security. The Senate Majority Leader has given them until the end of the week to reach an agreement. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
And some of the mass shooting victims' families and survivors are expected to testify in a congressional hearing on gun violence this week, and that includes an 11-year-old girl who says she covered herself in blood and played dead in order to survive that massacre at a Texas elementary school.
All new at midday now, a North Alabama man will spend the next 20 years in prison for a deadly stabbing that happened in Marshall County. Donald Sloan, you see him there, pleaded guilty to manslaughter back in April. He was originally charged with murder in the case, but court records say he stabbed and killed Robert Thomas in 2020, and eventually he pleaded guilty to manslaughter. Sloan is not expected to appeal that verdict.
And an Alabama escaped inmate was recaptured in Tennessee. Police say Johnny Payne ran from a work center in Elba on Thursday. Payne is 4 years into a 20-year sentence for receiving stolen property in Jackson County. Now take a look at your screen. A beautiful start to your work week. You're taking a live look over Huntsville from our WAAY 31 Sky Camera Network.
Yeah, you may not be fooled though. It's clouds, you see them there. They are rolling in. You're gonna want to keep that umbrella handy, huh, Carson?
Yeah, that's right, guys. Not just today, but really for the next 5-6 days. We'll have those daily chances for a few pop-up storms. Today, though, most of us stay dry. Otherwise, it's just warm and humid here at 11:30. 83 here in Huntsville. Same story goes for Decatur. 84 in Muscle Shoals, and it's 82 in Scottsboro right now. Now, as you look at the WAAY 31 Storm Tracker Early Warning Radar Network, nearly all of us in North Alabama are dry. You see a couple of those showers getting closer to that Mississippi-Alabama border. Those will likely not make it into North Alabama, but I am watching this pocket of thunderstorms starting to get going in northwestern Georgia. There's likely a boundary settled just off to our south and east, and that coverage might expand northwestward over the next couple of hours into Cherokee, Etowah, and maybe DeKalb counties as well. Again, a lot of us will stay dry today, but we do have that chance for a few pop-ups during that peak heat of the day this afternoon. Here's your weather on the go with our WAAY 31 Storm Tracker weather app. We're in the mid-80s right now. That is where we will stay going through the next several hours. 91, that is your forecast high, with again a 20% chance for a couple of those pop-up storms staying with us through the overnight hours tonight. This is an active week of weather ahead. This is what we're watching for you with those weather headlines. Hot and humid for your Monday. Those daily chances for storms not going anywhere. Some storms could be strong, but the overall severe weather risk this week is pretty low. We'll talk more about that in a few minutes.
Carson, thanks. Health leaders are worried right now that unreported COVID cases could make it a little bit harder to learn about any new variants that pop up. In most cases, people who are taking these at-home COVID tests may not be reporting positive results to their doctors, so some of these tests are not detecting new variants right away.
is that the at-home tests may take a couple of days to go positive. So it seems like they're not picking up the variants when it's just taking them a little while to become positive.
CDC says 97,000 people are testing positive for COVID every day in the United States. Here in Alabama, 3,700 people tested positive for the virus last week. The test positivity rate is now close to 16%, and more than half of the counties here at home in North Alabama are also at a substantial to high COVID transmission risk. The number of monkeypox cases is rising in the United States as well. The CDC says there's been 25 probable or confirmed cases reported across 12 states. None have been confirmed here in Alabama. The CDC is asking doctors to increase testing for the virus, and people with monkeypox have flu-like symptoms and they may experience a rash or even lesions.
New at midday, 9 airports in Alabama received more than $11 million in federal grants for improvements. Huntsville International Airport received more than $4 million to improve access to roads, roads and the taxiway. Cortland Airport also received nearly $500,000 for taxiway pavement improvements. Hartselle-Morgan County Regional Airport also received some funding to update its master plan.
All new at midday, one of the world's biggest country music festivals has made a notable addition to its list of items that fans cannot bring inside that venue. The Country Music Association Festival banned Confederate flag imagery. It says it doesn't want any behavior that could cause attendees to fear for their personal safety, and that does include, they say, displaying the flag. This year's CMA Fest starts this week on Thursday.
And check your fridge. An Alabama company is recalling its crab meat because of a possible listeria contamination. Irvington Seafood recalled its 1-pound packages of crab meat jumbo, lump finger, and claw meat. It was distributed across the state. If you have one of those packages, you can just return it to the store for a full refund.
Coming up, the Auburn Tigers are getting ready to finish some business they've got out on the ball field.
What a win could bring out to the Plains.
And chores outdoors, make sure you get them done today. Rain chances go up in a big way starting tomorrow. We'll track the chance for stronger storms in a few minutes.
Well, Auburn's baseball team looking to punch their ticket to the Super Regionals today.
Super Regionals, huh? Well, their game against UCLA was suspended last night because of the bad weather, so the Tigers are going to pick up play at 2 this afternoon down on the Plains. Auburn's on top right now, 9-0 in the bottom of the 6th. If the Tigers win, there's a chance they could host the Super Regionals. It all comes down to Vanderbilt seeing if they can beat Oregon State today. And our WAAY 31 sports team on top of these 2 games. Saw Max Cohan heading out the door going that way this morning. Find out how they did today. WAAY 31 News Sports at 6 o'clock tonight.
Meanwhile, the Rocket City Trash Pandas will open a 2-week homestand tomorrow. The team is still in the first place in the Southern League standing.
Woohoo!
That's after splitting in a series in Chattanooga last week. Now this week, the Trash Pandas will play the Mississippi Braves, and it all starts tomorrow at 6:35 at Toyota Field.
A little bit further down, 65 now. In summer football action, the Birmingham Stallions are now 8-0 and clinched the South Division regular season title in the USFL this weekend. The league's playoffs scheduled to start on June 25th. Those are fun games. I've been to one of those.
Really?
Yeah.
I haven't been to those. But from the fields to the courts, this is a game I would love to have been at. Golden State Warriors demolished the Celtics in Game 2 of the NBA Finals last night. It was pretty back and forth during the first half, but after halftime, the Warriors were shooting threes after threes after threes, taking home the win 107-88 and evening out the series 1-1. So Game 3 will be this Wednesday at Boston. You can watch it live right here on WAAY 31 starting at 8. Well, coming up, it's almost time for our weekly WAAY 31 law call segment.
Pick up the phone, call us now, 256-536-0077. Get your legal questions answered.
Welcome back, everybody. It's 11:44. We'll get the log call here in just a second. Let's show you what's happening right now across the WAAY 31 Storm Tracker Early Warning Radar Network. We are dry for the time being here in our neck of the woods. Still watching some of those very, very light showers trying to sneak into Waterloo there in western Lauderdale County. In general, though, most of us will stay dry today. I want to zoom things out, though, just off to our west, watching this cluster of thunderstorms right along the Mississippi River going through Memphis as we speak. Not a guarantee that these storms will hold together into North Alabama, but this particular system might give us a few of those pop-up showers and storms throughout the day today. Your pool forecast is still not a bad day to be by the pool. We'll have a good bit of sunshine, a few passing clouds, but very warm and very humid. 91 is our forecast high, with that small chance, like we mentioned, for a couple of those pop-ups later on today. And this is the big reason why those rain chances are back. The humidity is back. You can see those darker greens, that air you can wear humidity. It's staying with us today, starting to move in today. And then those darker green colors take over Tuesday and Wednesday. And that coincides with a frontal boundary that'll get close to North Alabama, but won't quite move through North Alabama. And that means the rain chances are here to stay, not just today, but for the next several days too. So as far as the severe weather potential this week, it looks pretty low. Having said that, throughout the afternoon hours today, we will be watching that cluster of storms that we're seeing in Memphis right now. It could re-intensify. We could have a few of those strong to severe storms in western Tennessee and western Kentucky. Some of those storms could make their way into northwest Alabama later on today, but the overall severe weather risk is low. Nonetheless, with the strongest storms we'll see, not just today, but for the next few days, we'll be watching that potential for heavy rainfall and a lot of lightning, both those in the medium risk category. And then the strongest storms could see some of those damaging wind gusts on the order of 50 to 60 miles per hour. All in all, it's just a classic summertime weather pattern here in North Alabama all week long. Let's go through future radar. 4 o'clock this afternoon, see a couple of those downpours developing. Just a 20% chance today. In fact, this is our driest day for quite some time. You do see that thunderstorm coverage increases just a little bit overnight tonight. Again, the severe weather risk tonight is low, but you might be woken up by a few rumbles of thunder overnight. We'll keep those chances for scattered showers and storms through the Tuesday morning drive. Maybe a little bit of a break Tuesday afternoon, only for storms to come right back Tuesday evening, lingering into Tuesday night. So we'll have some dry time in between all these rounds of showers and storms. But all this rain is going to add up. In general, I think a lot of us picking up around 1 to 3 inches of rain just in the next 5 days. So this goes through Friday. But where you see these red colors, those darker purples in Tennessee, northeast Alabama, that's where we might see over 3 inches of rain in the next 5 days. Keep that umbrella handy. 7-day forecast shows those highs in the upper 80s to near 90. And then we finally dry things out by Sunday.
Okay, thanks, Carson. Well, it is time right now to get your legal questions answered. Go ahead, give us a call, 256-536-0077. Will League from over at Senior Timberlake and League, that is, here now in the studio with us. Will, always good to see you, my friend.
Hey, you know, crazy times, crazy times. We're talking about gun violence today, gun laws in Alabama, gun laws federally. And, you know, with so many mass shootings, is it time to do something to address it? Can anything then, be done? Just to go back, the Second Amendment, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. So when you look back at the Constitution and the framers of the Constitution, there's a couple sides to this argument. We believe that this Second Amendment was applied to not have a standing army, and so you could call up a militia to defend the colonies or whatever was going on at that time. It's morphed into the right to bear arms against, the government or self-protection and things like that. So there's laws coming out, or there's a debate on whether or not we should restrict, the ownership of assault rifles. I don't believe there's been a bill to take away or disarm the population. But the question is, can an 18-year-old go in and buy an AR assault rifle to take out 300 people? That's a reasonable debate. Personally, if you got to take out 300 people, there's a good probability the problem's not them. And so a reasonable debate on what's the maturity level to own an assault rifle, 18 to 21. They're talking about red flag laws. If you're a danger to yourself or others, is it reasonable for the government to be able to come in and take your guns? I don't know how anybody could vote no to that. And then with regard to the carry permit. Right in Alabama, we got away from, you had to have a license to carry a concealed weapon. The police, the sheriff, they were all against that law, but it passed. And so I'm interested in your thoughts. We're going to have a law call specifically devoted to gun safety, the Second Amendment, and we want to hear the people from North Alabama what you think about these provisions. A red flag. You know, if you're having issues and you're a danger to yourself or others per a court order, can they come in? And you know, that's a question I think it's reasonable, worth talking about. You know, we're in Alabama. It's a pretty red state. And I'm interested to see if Alabamians are for any law that would maybe help, you know, anybody who has a mental condition or is a danger to themselves or others.
Yeah, and I know this is a conversation that's had across the country. Let's take a pause now. We do have a caller on the line. We have Shirley. Shirley, go ahead with your question.
Yes, I live in Huntsville, Alabama, and my question is, what is the law on other people's trees adjoining my property, from my responsibility to have those limbs removed, or the owner of the trees?
Okay. If the tree roots on their side, and it goes, you own from your property line all the way up until, I guess, the FAA starts, you know, their rights. But essentially, you own pretty much all the way up. So if those trees are crossing your invisible line, you can trim that tree and get that, you know, and get those limbs that are dangerous to your property off. But if the entire tree is on their property, you can't go onto their property. The question becomes, what if it's leaning dangerously towards your house? I tell people, put them on notice of that dangerous condition and ask them to remove it. If they don't, and it's a clear danger, you may want to file something to get the right to go in and remove that tree before it falls on your home. But again, absent a court order, you don't have a right to go over on their property.
Well, let's go back to that conversation about gun reform. I mean, one big question you kind of touched on was, you know, how easy it is people are having, or is how easy it is for some people to get access to these guns. Do you have any idea about the legal, you know, repercussions about that here?
Well, right now, you know, there was a Brady bill and there was an assault rifle, you know, pause back in the 2000s. It expired. Congress won't address it. We all heard Steve Kerr from the Golden State Warriors talk about this. It's something that has not been voted on and won't be brought up. And so, assault rifle, I don't think there's a ban, but I think they're talking about raising the age, training for an assault rifle. Again, I don't think anyone has proposed a bill talking about disarming the population or taking away people's guns unless you're a danger to yourself or others, or you're immature or have a mental condition to keep you from safely keeping arms. And that's a reasonable question. Again, when you go back on the Second Amendment back in 1789, we're talking about a one single shot musket. What if they had a repeating cannon? Or right now, am I allowed to have my own nuclear weapon? That's bearing arms. So saying there's no reasonable balance to protect the population, I think is outside of the confines of the Second Amendment and what the framers meant when they instituted the Second Amendment of the Constitution.
All right, Will League, Sinyard, Timberlake, and League, thank you so much for your insight there. Remember, if you didn't get your question answered, you can always call Sinyard, Timberlake, or League at any time. Will, thanks so much for joining us.
All right, you guys have a good afternoon. Thank you.
All right, we'll be right back.
I guess I'm a chick magnet. I don't mean to brag, but the girls have always seemed to hang around.
North Alabama's self-proclaimed chick magnet now has a theme song.
What a
That's
tune.
right. We are talking about our local hero, Sherwin Callender. Now, this song was written by a Grammy Award-winning songwriter, inspired by his zest of life for ladies. By the way, he just turned 102 this Saturday.
He is such a good guy.
Absolutely. Well, for 24/7 coverage you can count on, go to WAAYTV.com. We'll see you back at 4.